Welcome to Behind the Lights, the channel that peels back the layers of Hollywood's biggest stories to reveal the secrets the stars tried to keep buried. Today, we're stepping onto the infamous green linoleum, the last walk of death row at Cold Mountain Penitentiary, for an unprecedented look at Frank Darabont's 1999 masterpiece, The Green Mile. This is a film so universally loved, so emotionally devastating, that viewers worldwide admit to shedding tears every time. It's been called one of the greatest Stephen King adaptations ever made. It's a tale of supernatural healing, of deep injustice, and profound redemption. Millions of you rank this story of a man on death row among the most emotionally devastating films ever created. But what if I told you that beneath the film's familiar surface lies a world of secrets, hidden meanings, and astonishing conflicts that even the most dedicated fans have never uncovered? Today, we're not just watching the movie. We're using cast and crew revelations to completely transform your understanding of it. This isn't just about a gentle giant named John Coffey. It's about the moral awakening of Paul Edgecombe and the secrets that nearly destroyed Darabont's artistic vision. We've uncovered three major secrets, details straight from the actors and the director, that reveal an entirely different context for the story. This includes a hidden character backstory Tom Hanks gave Paul that explains his fundamental decency. It includes the astonishing truth about the seemingly immortal mouse, Mr. Jingles, who was actually the moral compass of the entire film. But the most shocking secret, the one studio executives fought bitterly to remove, is the scene that, had it been cut, would have transformed The Green Mile from a meditation on guilt and mortality into nothing more than a simple, forgettable supernatural drama. This cut scene was the key to understanding the film's true, heartbreaking purpose. We're counting down these three deepest secrets of The Green Mile. And we're starting with the subtle, hidden pain Tom Hanks brought to his character that you absolutely missed. TOP3. The true cost of John Coffey's touch, Paul Edgecombe's hidden WWI trauma. At the heart of The Green Mile is Paul Edgecombe, played by Tom Hanks, the chief correctional officer who, over the course of the story, transforms from a man simply doing his job into someone willing to risk everything to save an innocent soul. But what was it about Paul that gave him the moral capacity to recognize and resist the ultimate injustice? The script doesn't tell us, but Tom Hanks did. This is the first great secret of the film, a hidden character detail that explains everything about Paul Edgecombe's journey. Hanks decided that Paul was a World War I combat veteran. He created a personal history for Paul Edgecombe that went far beyond the film's narrative. Think about the implications of this. It's never mentioned in the dialogue, but Hanks envisioned Paul as a man who had seen combat in World War I and played him as such. This experience, according to Hanks's own internal backstory, is what fundamentally explained his fundamental decency and his disturbed reaction to Percy's cruelty. When Paul sees Percy, that petty, cruel bureaucrat with political connections tormenting prisoners, his reaction isn't just frustration. It's a deep, visceral reminder of the senseless violence he had witnessed in war. Paul isn't just watching a bully. He's watching the system that enabled the wholesale slaughter of his generation. This is why he cannot tolerate Percy's casual cruelty and why he instantly recognizes the true evil in the world, not as the chaotic kind represented by Wild Bill Wharton, but as the institutional, bureaucratic malice embodied by Percy Wetmore. This hidden history is what makes Paul's choice so profound. The men on The Green Mile, Edgecombe, Howell, Dean, they were all cogs in a killing machine. Their job was simply to execute the law, no matter how they felt. But Paul's WWI trauma had already taught him the tragic truth about human systems. They can be fundamentally corrupted and demand the destruction of innocence. John Coffey's supernatural healing power only fully awakens Paul because he was already prepared by his past. When Coffey cures his urinary infection, Paul doesn't just receive physical healing, he undergoes a spiritual transformation, beginning to question his role in executions. The healing confirms that the man he is about to execute is a living, suffering, Christ-like figure. But the internal strength to act on that knowledge, to risk his career and freedom to save John, that came from Tom Hanks's quiet decision to make Paul a veteran, a man who had already paid the price of moral failure and refused to do so again. Hanks infused his role with this deep personal history to elevate Paul from a simple good guy into a man burdened by memory and forced to make a profound moral choice. This hidden backstory transforms Paul Edgecombe's fundamental decency from a plot device into a deep character dimension. Next, we move to the character you thought was just comic relief. The small, quick creature who was secretly testing every character's soul before John Coffey even arrived. Top 2. The character test. Nobody noticed Mr. Jingles' true symbolic role. When you think of the characters on the Green Mile, you naturally think of Paul Edgecombe, John Coffey, and the vile Percy Wetmore. But the second deepest secret of the film centers on its smallest, fastest, and arguably most important character, Mr. Jingles, the mouse. Perhaps no element of the Green Mile is more beloved than Mr. Jingles, the seemingly immortal mouse who becomes Edouard Delacroix's companion. But this tiny character serves a much deeper purpose than mere comic relief. The cast and crew have revealed that Mr. Jingles was, in fact, the moral compass of the entire story. Notice who shows kindness to him and who doesn't. It's the first test of character we see. Think of the core question of the Green Mile. Do the vulnerable deserve protection, even at a personal cost? The mouse serves as a test case for this central question. Every single character answers that question in their treatment of the mouse long before they are forced to answer it regarding John Coffey. The vile Percy Wetmore tries to kill Mr. Jingles simply because he can. He tries to kill it simply because he can. This establishes Percy as fundamentally evil, incapable of compassion, and foreshadows his later, far more monstrous cruelty during Delacroix's botched execution. The damned, Edouard Delacroix, for all his crimes, shows gentleness to this small creature. His relationship with Mr. Jingles highlights his childlike innocence and vulnerability, making his execution an act of tragic injustice long before John Coffey's case is introduced. The protagonist, Paul Edgecombe, initially wants to ignore it, but eventually makes a choice to protect it. That small choice to protect the vulnerable rodent foreshadows his later decision to help John Coffey. Mr. Jingles' function is to filter the good from the bad and to demonstrate that compassion is always a choice, even in the most broken systems. The symbolism runs even deeper in the film's epilogue. We learn that Mr. Jingles has lived for decades beyond a normal mouse's lifespan, a supernatural consequence of John Coffey's touch. Like Paul, the mouse carries the blessing and curse of John Coffey's touch, a reminder of supernatural grace in an otherwise ordinary world. The film's message is that any contact with true goodness, even the smallest, gentlest touch, leaves an indelible mark. Mr. Jingles is the living, scurrying proof of the miracle John Coffey left behind, just as Paul is the human proof. The film's emotional impact is so powerful because these symbolic details register subconsciously for most viewers. You intuitively understand who is good and who is evil based on their reaction to this tiny creature, making the later human drama that much more impactful. The mouse wasn't just a pet. He was the film's silent, four-legged prophet. And now, we come to the top secret, the one that caused the biggest conflict behind the scenes. This is the scene that studio executives demanded be cut, a decision that would have fundamentally erased the film's powerful conclusion and its true meaning. Top 1. The scene that was almost cut, the end that studio executives hated. You cannot imagine the Green Mile ending any other way than it does. The powerful epilogue showing an aged Paul Edgecombe, still alive decades later due to John's touch, is the conclusion that gives the film its enduring weight. But here is the major production secret, the conflict that threatened the entire integrity of the film. Studio executives absolutely hated this epilogue and reportedly pushed director Frank Darabont to cut it completely. Their arguments were purely commercial. They argued that the film was already too long and that the epilogue with the elderly Paul living at a nursing home was unnecessary. They argued that the film should end with the emotional climax of John Coffey's execution, believing the subsequent scene of Paul living decades later was an anticlimax. Had the studio won this battle, the film almost had an entirely different ending. The Green Mile would have ended with John Coffey's final moments. It would have been a heartbreaking film, yes, but its meaning would have been fundamentally shallow. It would have been a film about a magical healing rather than a meditation on mortality, guilt, and the high cost of taking part in evil, even unintentionally. But Darabont fought for that epilogue because the film isn't ultimately about death. It's about living with the consequences of our choices. He understood that without seeing Paul decades later, still haunted by the execution of an innocent man, the audience would miss the true weight of the story. Darabant's refusal to compromise on the film's length and his dedication to the elderly, Paul's story is one of the most powerful, awkward moments in Hollywood history. He took an enormous risk, especially after his previous Stephen King prison film, The Shawshank Redemption, was initially considered a box office failure. His stubborn dedication to artistic integrity is what set the stage for The Green Mile to become one of Hollywood's most emotionally resonant classics. The film doesn't truly shine until Paul finally shares his burden. The executives' desire to cut these scenes seems unfathomable now, given how perfectly they complete the story. They are the ultimate key to understanding the film's exploration of guilt, redemption, and the capacity for moral courage in ordinary people. We've now walked the Green Mile again, but this time with the light of hidden knowledge. We've seen that Tom Hanks gave Paul Edgecombe the burden of a WWI veteran, explaining his unique capacity for moral action. We've understood that Mr. Jingles was the moral litmus test for every single character, foreshadowing their choices about John Coffey. And most crucially, we've revealed the great battle fought over the film's ending, the epilogue that studio executives wanted to cut, which Frank Darabont correctly identified as the necessary core of the film's message about guilt and consequence. All these secrets point to the same profound truth. The real miracle in The Green Mile is not John Coffey's supernatural ability to heal. It is the moral awakening he inspires in the ordinary men around him. These men started as cogs in a killing machine, but ended up willing to risk everything: their careers, their freedom, potentially their lives. Try to save an innocent man. The enduring legacy of The Green Mile lies in its ability to show us that even within the most rigid and broken systems, human conscience can awaken and lead to moral courage. It doesn't offer easy answers about capital punishment or injustice. It trusts you to wrestle with the implications of the story it shows you. This film is a testament to the miracle of moral awakening in ordinary people, reminding us that our essential humanity and our ability to choose compassion can never truly be taken from us. If these insights have changed how you view this masterpiece, I invite you to re-experience it with fresh eyes. Look for the green color motif whenever death is near. Pay attention to Mr. Jingles and what his treatment reveals about each guard. Most importantly, remember that the true weight of the film is found in Paul's memory, the scene the studios nearly destroyed. What do you think is the most powerful, emotionally devastating moment in The Green Mile? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Behind the Lights for more deep dives into cinema's greatest treasures. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our uploads. Until next time, remember, we each owe a death. There are no exceptions. But sometimes, oh God, The Green Mile seems so long. Would you like me to find the 3 most emotionally devastating lines from the film to use for social media promotion?